Gotta move chat thing in case somebody actually responds. Are we good? That'll have to be good enough. So, baseball sim. What more boring way can you talk about? The most boring well, actually it's the best baseball sim ever made. If you don't agree with me, you can leave now. So I should probably give a background about what I'm doing right now. Well, I am playing Out of the Park Baseball 18. It's a very sophisticated sports baseball simulation. Where I'm basically playing as a general manager. Started off with the 75 Red Sox. It's now 1987. Look at here. I know my baseball pretty good. I've only finished out of the playoffs one year. That was by 3 games. I think I finished behind Detroit in like the last weekend of the season. Of course, I started off with a team that won the pennant anyway, so take that as you will. But I know my baseball. But that's a thing. I just felt like getting some thoughts out there. Oh, you want me to say what my thoughts are? Well, I hate Mass Effect 3. I know it's like an okay game, but really, it's not as good as Mass Effect 2, and it goes beyond the crappy ending that everybody knows about. And this is, by the way, this is just coming off the top of my head. I didn't pre-plan this, probably to my detriment. I just felt like talking about shit, getting it off my chest, that kind of thing. But yeah, I really don't like Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 1, very good. Mass Effect 2, legitimately great. Mass Effect 3 is still a good game, but there's parts about it, I feel like EA rushed them out the door, Bioware. And that's really where we can date Bioware's fall, I think. Not Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 2 could have been an aberration. It shouldn't have happened like that. I think they rushed down like a year and a half of development time, Dragon Age 2. So really, it's the aberration, but Mass Effect 3, so many mistakes were made. Now, once again, I think it's a good game, but I hate it. It's kind of like saying, how do I say it? This movie is good, but it's not for me. No, because Mass Effect is made for me, really. I've liked the other 2 games. Maybe I should break down why I don't like it. And there's one big reason. It's that the side quests are bugger all. And most of the main quest feels like a side quest. Most. Krogan stuff? Cool. Citadel DLC? Awesome. Like, top-notch Bioware. But, there's these long segments of Mass Effect 3 where it feels like, it just goes on and on. It feels like you're doing side quest after side quest because you have to build up resources to fight the Reapers or you'll get the bad ending. And, oh my lord. I just don't like it. I just don't like main quest to feel like side quest, and maybe it's because it's the last game in the trilogy. Gotta wrap things up. You've already established these characters. But, okay. That's one thing. The other major thing I don't like that I don't like about Mass Effect 3 is the, character interactions between you and your, companions, your crewmates. To articulate that thought further, I'd like to point out that Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2, especially Mass Effect 1, there was a lot of talking with your crewmates. Probably because there was only half a dozen of them, and then one of them gets killed on Vermeer. But yeah, you got a lot. Even if you didn't like Ashley Williams, you knew what the character of Ashley Williams was. You could tell why you didn't like her, because well, whatever reasons. But at least she had a character. Even Kaidan had a character. Mass Effect 2, they throw more characters as. Most of them had the same level of depth as the first games. So not a problem there, and you do have time to grow your bond with them. Mass Effect 3 suffers from a problem that it's wrapping up the trilogy, so to some degree they don't know how to further the character's development. I mean, Garrus is awesome. He only grew more awesome throughout the games. Liara, actually, I like more in Mass Effect 3 than Mass Effect 1. Ashley Williams, I could go either way on, and same thing with Kaidan. The James character is just a throwaway Call of Duty. Not really. Yeah, a lot of people have issues with that character, and it's quite understandable. I have them too. Tali, I feel, is overrated as a companion. Good, but not as awesome as Garrus or some of the other. Like the Gloucester analogy, I totally understand. Problem is that I have a crappy relationship with my little sister, so maybe it doesn't work as great for me. But anyways, that was good. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Who am I missing? Tali, Garrus, Liara, Ashley, that soldier guy. Who am I forgetting from Mass Effect 3? Oh, that's right. The Day 1 DLC character, which was like the epitome of wasted potential. I mean, keep on saying I mean, it's probably annoying, but I felt more emotion with Kasumi and Zaid than I ever did with that Prothean guy. Jarek? I don't even remember his name, really. And there's people that can put it better than me about why he's kind of shitty. For one thing, he's a Day 1 DLC character. I don't know if Kasumi and Zaid also were, but Mass Effect 2 overall is more fleshed out, so maybe it's unfair to compare in that way, but what I'm trying to say is that the character interactions, besides the minimal growth they go throughout the third game, in my point of view, I don't know, maybe I have to play the third game again. But, you already know them. That's a good thing. If they just threw like 4 or 5 new guys at you and only kept 3 of the old ones, that would have felt off, wouldn't it? But it's really the structure of the interactions that I hate so much. Excuse me. It's not very different. Excuse me. It's not very different from the way you interact with like basically any NPC most of the time with your companions, and that really pisses me off. What I mean by that is that Mass Effect 2 sometimes have this problem, but they usually had like a fetch quest, side quest attached, where you just walk past some NPC and you overhear them talking. You might get a quest or a little bit of interesting dialogue, which is good in small doses, but not when your main interactions with your companions are basically so, throughout most of the game at least. Then there's another problem with the companions and how they do it. You get Garrus and Liara relatively early, that James character, and you don't get Tali and whether you like them or not, Ashley and Kaidan, until much later in the game. And that really hurts. I mean, Tali's about the midway point, after you cure or whatever with the genophage, and then you go after the Geth, or try to resolve the Geth and Quarian problem. That's relatively late in the game. I don't know if you guys know this, but it is. And after that, you get your human companion from Mass Effect 1. That's a long time to go with only like 4, maybe 5 characters. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, to be honest. I am forgetting somebody, aren't I? This is gonna kill me. Well, anyways, long time going with only compare that to Mass Effect 1, where you get basically all half a dozen so companions at once. You get Ashley and Caden on your first tutorial mission. You get Garrus, Tali, and Rex on the Citadel, and then you get Liara, presumably on the very next thing. That's setups. You get them all at the start, but it's still paced well. There's still a reason why they go with you. And you still get the interactions with them that build them as characters. But enough about that. I've talked about that for about 7 minutes. My other issue, well, it's not the combat, actually. Well, I wouldn't say Mass Effect 3 is hard, but I haven't played it in a few years. It was hard when I first played it back in, I don't know, it came out in 2012, but of course I was not as experienced a gamer back then. Somehow I beat The Witcher 2 twice by then, which I'm still astounded by, considering I have problems with it today. But really, my problems with Mass Effect 3 are structured around their narrative. The narrative. How the story is told. And I'm not even going to touch the ending. That's a whole pile of shit by itself. And of course, there's fan endings that are better than that. Oh, what does that tell you? Whew. So, can't think of, thinking about Bioware as a whole, since Mass Effect 3 and Dragon Age 2 came out, I suppose the Old Republic as well. I was talking about how Mass Effect 2 is a good game that I really don't like. Mass Effect 3 is a good game that I really don't like. And as much as I hate Star Wars Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO, as much as I hate that, I do have more enjoyment out of it than a game that's actually good. That's not an MMO that doesn't shit over the first 2 games. God damn. I hate myself for liking, well, certain aspects at least, I hate myself for liking certain aspects of the Old Republic, and it's mainly the combat that I like, the walking around, really the combat mechanics, because despite the fact that it's an MMO, it's more or less a refined version of Dragon Age 2 and thus Inquisition. If you were translating the combat system from Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, even though it was made by Obsidian, it's the same core system, translating that into modern games, you did it perfectly in the Old Republic. That is what I can say is good about the Old Republic. The other thing I like about the Old Republic is the sheer mass of things you can do. And that comes with its own drawbacks, because, you've heard it, there's like a dozen separate storylines that at various times shit on the first 2 games and have continuity errors and so on and so forth. But the advantages of having 12 separate storylines is it's effectively 12 games. Not fully fleshed games like Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, the other Bioware full-on RPGs. It's true, it's not 12 separate games in one, but it's like 12 separate expansion packs at once. And take that as you will. It's not as good as the Witcher 3 expansions, but it has the same level of amount of content, really, one of those storylines. You could probably spend the same amount of time as playing as like a Sith Inquisitor as you could spend playing Hearts of Stone. And that I like. Though you might play more as a Sith Inquisitor than on Hearts of Stone. That's not to say The Old Republic is better than The Witcher 3, which I believe to be the greatest game of all time. As cliche as it is to say that now. Despite that, yeah, Witcher 3 sets a standard that really can't be beat. Probably not even by CD Projekt Red. But going back to Bioware, yeah, there were cracks in the system in Dragon Age 2, The Old Republic, but Mass Effect 3, that's where the downfall of Bioware, I think, really begins. That's when EA more or less gripped it with its thick, slimy tentacles and strangled it. I don't know if I'm making sense, because I keep on saying Mass Effect 3 is objectively a good game. It's technically good. But it just harps on me. It just grinds my gears how it's not the conclusion to a trilogy that I was hoping for. Well then, thanks for listening.